Well, the joke's on you. I showed up late, 90 seconds late, also known as a deal breaker.
Well, I didn't even send the email until.
Oh, did I pick it up instantly? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
fuck. You
it
wouldn't
was
have
like,
even known.
yeah.
Son of a. All right. I was waiting on you the whole time.
Yeah, dude, what a piece of shit I am.
I'm not even moving tomorrow.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa bar? Can I Lisa, Lisa bar? Can I Lisa, Lisa bar?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Doing great, man. Spring is in the air, and I'm springing to it.
Spring
Getting
has sprung.
excited. That's right, man. Halfway through the bracket and the quarter going down right now. How are you doing, Christian?
I am good. I'm moving tomorrow, so that should be pretty exciting. Gonna move downtown Indy, so that'll be cool. But it may, if you're a video listener, it may affect the video coming out. Just a heads up for anybody. I guess if you're a video listener, you wouldn't hear this on the audio, but in case you do, it may take a minute for me to get the videos out. It just depends on how quickly I can get moved and everything and the internet set up. But audio will be out. I will get that done for sure, like I always do, and it'll be out on Saturday, or at least this episode will. And hope you liked the double scoop of
Ooh.
RDR last week. So we're gonna do the same thing this week. Put an episode out on Saturday and another one out on Monday. On that note, we've only got two more rounds of 64 to go, and we're gonna start off in the dirty
Oh,
South.
filthy.
So yeah, southern portion of the bracket, and if you're Florida, Georgia, somewhere like that fan, don't worry, we didn't forget about you, but you are in the Atlantic bracket, just because it made it easier to divide these up into four equal divisions with some actual name value. So sorry about you, but everybody else in the South, here we go. So we're going to start off our number one seed, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, running back, going up against our 16 seed, Jaydon Blue out of Texas. How you feeling about this one? We got a 16 seeder upset or
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, we love Jaden Blue, so I'm sorry, Samson. It was a good showing, 22 touchdowns. Not a lot of people were doing that. But Jaden Blue, it's got to win. Am I right?
no, I
No.
disagree.
Too bad. Yeah. But
Um,
I know we both like the guy quite a bit.
we do, yeah. I mean, Jaden Blue, he's got elite speed, obviously. I think his pro day, he was running like a 4.2 something, and he ran a
Wow.
4.3 at the combine. So
Sure.
pretty crazy. Apparently, he had like a groin tear at the combine or something. So that's insane if true. I do think he's
Mm.
got good contact balance, and he's a versatile back, 300 yards through the air and four touchdowns. But yeah, I just think Sampson, I mean, has a little bit more, and obviously the production speaks to itself. Whereas you look at Jaden Blue, only two games over 100 yards rushing this season. And then really, I think what drove it home for me, I like him as a prospect, but in terms of losing right here, only 22 total rushing yards against Michigan and Georgia combined. So it's like when he goes up against stout competition, he almost vanishes. Now, there's a million reasons that could have happened, but I don't know. It just seemed like a red flag to me.
Yeah, he had some low utilization in big time games, which meant
Hmm.
he had some issues. I think he had quite a few fumbles, a lot more than you'd like to see out of a guy with these limited carries. But I mean, you mentioned, the passing work, 368.
Hmm.
That's pretty awesome. He was a good pass catcher and he had that snappy speed you could tell on film, and the acceleration was really nice. And I liked his decision making. with the ball in his hands. He kind of
Yeah.
avoided contact, like did a really good job ducking
Hmm.
guys. But I mean, he still dropped the shoulder when he needed to, and he could run through contact as well with good contact balance and fell forward pretty well. So it was kind of like you know, beefy, beefy speedster on the field. So I don't know. He was very intriguing to me. I think to you as well. So
Yeah, for sure. I also think he uses his blockers really well, and is able to get pretty small and kind of move with them and around them pretty quickly. And he couples that with some good patience too. So, yeah, I like him. I'm intrigued to see where he goes. But just I don't think he can quite notch out Sampson here. So, we got our number one seed, Dylan Sampson, moving on, and Jaydon Blue. Although we are interested, you are going to hang in the round of 64, unfortunately. So moving on to our number eight seed, Brashard Smith, running back out of SMU, going up against our nine seed, the small school standout, Rock Taylor out of Memphis, maybe a little bigger school than most of our other small schools, but still. This one. I really don't know, man. This one's kind of tough for me. Did you have were you leaning super hard one way or the other here?
I'd say that I'm leaning towards Smith.
Okay.
But both players, like, for an 8-9, it truly was kind of a nail biter.
Mm-hmm.
Rock Taylor, pretty great. He had some good production these past 2 years, whereas Smith really only had 1 year of production this last year, which was pretty stellar after changing schools. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could go either way. The thing that with Rock Taylor is the touchdown numbers. He only had two, let's see, this past year and four prior year. So I don't know, to have over 130 catches and only six touchdowns kind of was the red flag there. I would have
Yeah.
liked to see some more out of him, but
Yeah.
yeah, you tell me, man.
I get you there. I'm down to go Smith. This one was really 50-50 to me. Smith had a good combine overall. He showed off sub 4.4 40, which
Yep.
shows up on tape. He looks really fast. His burst score is a little sketch in terms of running backs for me. But to me, with the production and the combined like skill he showed off at the combine, I'm comfortable sending him over Taylor, who didn't have a bad combine by any means. I mean, just under 4.5 for his size of 6'2", 213 was still pretty good. Like that's fine. You don't always need to be running a 4.3 to be good. His burst score was a little unfortunate. It was sitting at 11,
Yeah.
11th percentile. I've always kind of said that I care a little bit more about the burst score for running backs than I do wide receivers, but that's still kind of an abysmal score. But I mean, Rock, he's a physical playmaker, man, and he's really good on contested catches. I mentioned in our profile episode on him, this year in 2024, he had 60% success rate on contested catches, and last year he had a 71%. So that's back-to-back years of really solid production. One thing I am worried about him though is he doesn't do a whole lot after the catch. I mean, he had 954 yards this season, and only 191 of them were after the catch. So that's kind of, I don't really like that. It kind of shows that he's a little limited once he gets the ball in his hands. But overall, I do like him, and I think he can be a solid two or three on an NFL roster.
Yeah, I think so too. I thought he moved pretty well for being a big guy, but that was mostly through the routes. You're right. Once he gets the ball in his hands, it's kind of over a little bit, but it's good to see 17 contested catches. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, that was his kind of specialty was how he handled, bringing in the ball between
Hmm.
the using his size and the contested catches. That was pretty much it. But yeah, not
Yeah.
being able to run away with touchdowns is going to hold you back in my heart. So
Yeah, at least in the fantasy realm. I mean, a team is going to eat up his ability to go up and get the ball, and they're going to use him. It's just going to be like one game he's going to have two catches for 30 yards, and then one he might have four for a touchdown and 50, which will be good for you. But I don't know. It seems a little more boomer busty if that's all he's relying on is kind of those contested catches and going up and getting it. Um, so yeah, I'm comfortable with Smith if you are.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the eighth seed running back, Brashard Smith moving on, and Rock Taylor is gonna fall in the round of 64. So moving on to our fifth seed. Whoa, hold up, what the hell was that?
Something
Okay.
happening in your home.
Yeah. Um, I think it must have been my brother's dogs because I just heard him yell, lay down.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
okay. I thought it was like something smashing in my window. That was crazy. Um, Shit. Anyway, okay. Start over.
super.
Oh God. And then the air kicked on and it sounded weird. That's
Well, it makes you feel better. I'm watching your back. I can see the
okay.
window. I got
Thanks. If
eyes on
somebody
it.
tries to get in, I appreciate
You got it.
it. I'm on the second floor, so I think it'd be hard
Oh, yeah.
to do that. But
Maybe safer.
anyway. All right, so we've got our number five seed, Jack Bech, wide receiver out of TCU, going up against the 12 seed quarterback, Quinn Ewers. I feel like Beck is somehow still underrated, even though he looks amazing on tape. He's still kind of being ignored as one of the high-end wide receiver prospects. So to me, this was one of the easier ones of this side of the bracket. I think Beck moves on for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'll give it to you for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of Ewers, I do think he's a decisive thrower. He makes quick decisions, and I do think he has like a decent arm. Man, he is erratic as all hell. Every time I would get like excited about a throw he made, I'd be like, damn, that was a good throw. Literally the next one, off target.
Mhm.
And it wasn't always like way off target. Sometimes it was just slightly off, but he was always putting, not always, but a lot of times he was putting his wide receivers in like bad positions to catch the ball. Like enough, it was close enough that they could get their hands on the ball, but it was not in a good spot. Like it was either low or way too high, and it was putting them in danger of either not being able to make the catch or getting just popped. And I feel like a few times his receivers would catch the ball, but then get popped because they were in a weird spot and drop it. And then just in terms of like some of the under the hood stats, like he was 18th of this entire draft class in yards per attempt, which don't love that. It was like 7 point something. Seventh in this draft class in pressure to sack ratio, which I don't think he really handles pressure all that well. He
No.
kind of panics a little bit and gets rid of the ball a little faster or takes the sack. I do think he has like potential that maybe some skills that could be molded if he landed in the right spot, but I still think ultimately he's probably just a backup.
Wow. Yeah. You stole my notes yet again, my friend. But no, you nailed it, dude. I thought, yeah, he treats the ball like a hot potato, man. He's very panicky. He seems to like always stick to the plan, like he doesn't improvise
Yeah.
uh too much at all. But yeah, he does have a high level awareness, which I think feeds into his panicky nature.
Hmm.
But at times he's got great ball placement. And at times you're right. It's just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't know. I put on here that I'm not great at quarterback studies and
Me
that so
either.
much of it relies on like the coaching and the team
Hmm.
situation.
Hmm.
So definitely all these guys have some potential, but I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, he was kind of just backup city for a couple of years or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's more likely than not to happen. I mean, but I'm with you. I'm pretty bad. I mean, I hated Bo Nix. Love Jaden Daniels a lot, but who didn't? Was super in on Anthony Richardson, and that doesn't seem like it's working out. So like quarterback, not my forte. So who knows? But yeah, he just there were some throws that he would like just step up in the pocket and be like on the move and just lay a dime, and then the next one literally would be like 2 feet over a guy's head. And I couldn't get behind that. I feel like he's likely like a third or a fourth round pick maybe. maybe even later than that, in terms of the actual NFL draft. So place him where you want in rookie drafts. But so yeah, I mean, that one was pretty easy. Jack Beck is going to be moving on the 5 seed, and Quinn Ewers is staying put in the round of 64. So next up, we got our 4th seed. Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, going up against the 13 seed Ollie Gordon II, running back out of Oklahoma State University. And holy cow, all I could think watching this matchup was how the mighty have fallen.
Oh my
Um,
God, yeah.
Ollie Gordon coming off a 1,700 yard and 21 touchdown season is likely, unless you have something to say, losing to a tight end in the round of 64.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I thought this one was closer than it should have been,
Okay.
but yeah, Ollie just didn't look himself, man. He was kind of
Mm-mm.
lumbering out there. Just I've watched him play, and it just wasn't the same. It wasn't seamless. It wasn't quick, and I don't know, dude. He's got like smooth cutbacks, and his vision
Mm-hmm.
kind of gets him where he needs to be. It's pretty good for the size, but he's lost his step in a major way, and you hate to see it, but
Yeah.
the traits that got him success are still there, but the backing, the foundation is just kind of
It,
crumbling a little
it,
bit.
yeah,
So
it really has. And I mean, he still has great power. He's definitely one of those guys that like is absolutely trying to run through you on every snap, which is cool to see. And in that way, I think he'll still complement like a backfield in the NFL, similar to like Braylon Allen, with the Jets.
yeah,
But the top end speed and the quickness just aren't really there. And unfortunately, like I think that's a problem that's just going to get worse for him over time. It's not like he's
yeah,
going to become faster as he gets into the NFL or become quicker again. And maybe he was playing through an injury that I don't know about, but and he was this year. I mean, last year again, incredible. He would have been arguably the Dynasty 101 had he come out last year, but this year he was very boomer bust week to week. I mean, 4 times this season he was under 3 yards per carry on the week, and 7 times total he was under 4, which is just not what you want to see. I mean, in college, guys are getting 6, 7, 8 yards a carry on the reg. You really don't want to see that. 6 weeks he was at or under 50 yards rushing, which is just unheard of. And I do remember a former OSU running back who came off a bad final season,
oh
and
Jesus,
turned it around. But I just Chuba had more juice than Ollie does. Like you could
yeah,
see it. And I just again, I think the problems for Ollie is that the issues he was having this season are just going to kind of get worse. So I think I see him as a compliment, like a power guy, but I don't see him as much more than that at this point.
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, the whole Oklahoma team took kind of a downhill, or Oklahoma State took a downhill skid,
Hmm.
at Justin. So I think, yeah, he's got potential, but maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, on the right team and definitely like injuries or something, I'm down to like try to pick him up off the waiver if he makes it to the waiver. I think his name value will probably um keep him off the waiver wire at least at first. But
It's
he's
just
a
such a deep class, man. It's
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, if it wasn't such a deep class, maybe we could overlook some of this, but it's just not. So yeah, Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU, is going to be moving on, the 4 seed, and Ollie Gordon is staying in the round of 64. So moving on, we've got our 6th seed, Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas, going up against the 11 seed, Dante Thornton, wide receiver out of Tennessee. I don't know if I just said that, but uh, I went Bond here. How are you? How are you feeling here?
again, closer than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I also went Bond just because it feels like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I had to, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's pretty serious. You can see it right there with Thornton. The 25.4 yards per catch, like that's out of control.
Yeah.
Seriously, like guys look friggin' tired chasing this
Oh
guy
yeah.
around. And I don't know, man. He gets open on crossing routes just as easy as he does deep routes. And he really had good timing with his hands and the moves, like he was just lightning quick. He's kind of really snappy player.
hmm
Um, and I feel like if he gets the right home, he could have a really bright future, you know. Production never really was out of this world, but the efficiency and I mean seriously to have 6 touchdowns on 26 catches, that's pretty awesome. I like how do you turn 26 catches into 661 yards? Like that's incredible.
It's pretty crazy. And yeah, I mean, an intriguing landing spot for this kid could definitely uptick his value tremendously. Um, but like you said, like one season in college was over 400 yards. It was this past season, and like you said, 26 catches, 662 yards. That's really impressive. Um, he's kind of a one-trick pony, but it's a pretty awesome trick. Being that tall and that fast, we're talking about a guy that's 6'5" and ran a 4.3 something. So you just don't see that often. So that is always going to get NFL scouts to kind of perk up and pay attention. Um, I do remember another Thornton though that was recently taken
Oh,
basically because of his speed. Um,
Taekwon.
Tyquan Thornton for the exact same reason by New England. And in 3 seasons, he has 385 yards and is now on the Chiefs. Did you know that?
What? No,
Yeah,
dude.
he's on the
Okay, I'm
Chiefs
here for that.
apparently.
Hell yeah. Bring it
So
on, dude. We can use him and Thornton. They both give us all of them.
just all the Thorntons. So like that's that's the fear is that like okay, if he goes to the wrong team, which New England clearly was the wrong team, to
Yeah.
develop this guy into a true like deep threat, it's just not going to work. He's not going to develop and have more tricks to his game. But if he ends up on the right team, he's an intriguing guy. I mean, again, that size and speed combination doesn't come along very often. So he's worth taking a flyer on, but it does feel like, at least at first, he's going to be like a very boomer bust, like might catch you a 60-yard touchdown, or he might not have a catch on the game, you know? So he's worth stashing, especially on a taxi squad. Obviously, depending on where he goes, he might be a second round pick, who knows? But
Yeah, this is the kind of guy that will pop up in the middle of the second round of the NFL draft. Probably not
oh
this
yeah.
year. The wide receivers, there's just too many of them in that middle ground. But
Yeah, there really are. It's a thick middle, not a very heavy top, but a very thick around the waist draft. So, but yeah, it would not surprise me that much at all if we saw Dante Thornton's name come across the board in the second round. Uh, but for now, Isaiah Bond's going to be moving on, and Dante Thornton is staying in the round of 64. So here we go, moving on to our 3 seed,
sure.
Savion, wide receiver out of TCU, going up against the 14 seed quarterback out of Ole Miss, Jaxson Dart. Where did you land on this one?
This dude, I just didn't land all of these. I was ready to do on the fly.
Uh-huh.
I think I went dart on this
Okay.
one.
Okay, so we're in
So
lockstep. I went back
okay.
and
Phew.
forth on this one several times. I kind of like I had penciled in Williams, then I went back to Dart, then back to Williams, then back to Dart. I kept making the Bart Simpson meme in my head, writing on the chalkboard, like I will not overvalue quarterbacks. I will not overvalue, or I won't see like just project these guys because I did it with Kenny Pickett, I did it with Desmond Ritter, I did it with a few guys where I thought they had a lot more potential than they actually obviously ended up having. But I'd like Dart to a point. Like, I don't know. I don't think he's like the perfect prospect, but his draft buzz is spiking. People are comparing him to Bo Nix. And
No.
I do think he has some great traits. I don't know. I don't know that they're comparing him in terms of play style to Bo Nix, but it's more of a like, this is this year's Bo Nix, that the guy that's going to get taken and it's going to surprise people that he went so or as early as he did and who knows after that. But he's a confident thrower. I think he makes good decisions. Doesn't turn the ball over that often, though. I'm worried about his arm strength, but that's okay. Like you can get away with that. I mean, you don't have to be a cannon in the NFL to make something happen, depending on the offense that you're on. And then Williams. Savion Williams, he has some great traits too. He's big. He's 6'4", 225, and he's decently fast for that size, just under a 4.5 40. He's athletically really gifted, but I think he's just raw in certain areas, like the route running could be crisper, and his hands, 8 drops last season and 16 throughout his career, and he really only started getting going. And he had career highs last year, but it was 611 yards and 6 touchdowns. So it's like nothing to write home about. And really, I think what's going to keep him off the field early in his NFL career is his blocking really needs to be improved if he wants to stay on the field at the NFL level. These days, wide receivers have to really block all the time. I could see him being a project guy that skills develop into something. But as of now, with like the potential first round value on Jackson Dart, I'm just leaning that way.
Yeah. I mean, I've got plenty to say about Dart. We'll save it for the next round, but I definitely went back and forth on this because like you're saying, I mean, Williams, he played pretty well. I mean, he was a strong guy using his size. He had that 85% contested catch, and
Hmm.
after the catch, he had 6.5 yards per reception. It was pretty good. But he ran like a ton of like very short routes.
Hmm.
But then he had did you pick up on his like weird like locomotive running style when he
Yeah,
was
kind
going
of.
for the long speed,
Hmm.
deeper routes? It was kind of like you said, it's very raw. Like he has a lot of potential, but he didn't really, I mean, he didn't put anything on paper in 5 years in college to make you think that, he's the guy to be super excited about. Great size um, and good quickness for the size. But in this draft class, like all these receivers are running, pretty quick for their size. It's like the times have caught up
Hmm.
to like the training, and these guys are all putting up really stellar times unless it's an outlier. So try not to read too much into that, but definitely keeping half an eye on this guy because the potential's there. I just think with this draft class, Jackson Dart has a chance to get opportunities that a quarterback of his caliber typically wouldn't, in that he is so calm and poised in the pocket that he might just make it work. So
Yeah.
I'm give it to him.
All righty. Well, that is a huge upset. The number 3 seed, Savion Williams, is staying in the round of 64, failing to move on. And 14th seed, Jackson Dart, is going to be in the round of 32. So that's pretty exciting there. So next up, we've got our 7 seed, another quarterback, Jalen Milroe, quarterback out of Alabama, going up against the 10 seed in Trey Harris, uh, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I don't think the quarterback takes it this time, however.
No, I don't think so. Kind of ironic though, if you watch Jackson Dart's film, you're like, ah, all right, okay. But if you watch Trey Harris's film, you're like, what the hell, Jackson Dart? So it goes both ways. But with Jalen Milroe, I know he's a guy we've talked about quite a bit. Everyone should know at this point he's kind of like a dual threat, put up 1,500 yards as a rusher in 4 years,
Hmm.
including 726 last year with 20 touchdowns on the ground, but he only threw 16, which is kind of a red flag. He's got 2 years in a row with 13 games as quarterback, and he didn't get over 3,000 yards either season.
Hmm.
And I think the thing that really, I mean, I like Melrose, and I think he's got some potential. Like he's got, kind of like the quick passing game thing down, like snap, adjust ball, throw ball type thing.
Hmm.
He does stay in the pocket. He doesn't really scramble for a guy that's dual threat. is kind of an enigma, really, because when he does run, he gets down. He doesn't take risk with his running. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. You don't see like a guy put up 700 yards, but also then sliding. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
But sometimes he holds the ball too long and then he puts it in risky positions. And it's just kind of weird that he doesn't scramble more. It seems how he has that rushing skill set, but I
Yeah.
think he has the potential to develop
Hmm.
and get to better decision making plays. But then at the same time, I'm like, how much of his success or whatever, the absence of catastrophe was due to standing behind Alabama's O line. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think it covered up a lot of his weaknesses, so it's really hard for me to get a read on this guy.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm with you. I think you kind of nailed it on Milroe. There's a chance, he has some skills. He obviously was running like a 4.3 at his pro day, which is pretty crazy. And we've seen how impactful rushing quarterbacks can be on your fantasy roster, especially in a dynasty realm, or especially in a super flex. So like he's an intriguing prospect and a guy that like I'll have my eye on to see where he goes because if he gets behind some good coaching and can develop these traits and become more than just a rusher and a more consistent passer that could be crazy. I mean, I I mentioned Richardson earlier, Anthony Richardson, and he's a guy that like I bought into basically for the same reason, the size, the speed, and just hoped that he could develop. And he ended up with Shane Steichen, which that was the main reason I went after him. Had he got drafted somewhere else, I don't know that I would have been so in on him. And it seemed like the perfect coach for his skill set. I mean, the guy that helped Jalen Hurts become what he is today, but that hasn't even worked. So, like, even if Jalen Milroe ends up somewhere with great coaching, it's still not a lock that it happens. I mean, I think Richardson has one more year to see what he has after working with Josh Allen's coaches this year. But like so far, not great. Doesn't look good. So like that would be the worry about Milroe. But if Richardson was going really early in dynasty rookie drafts, and maybe it's just because I was in four of them and I was taking him everywhere. But his ADP was up there, whereas Jalen Milroe's is probably not going to be. He's more likely a late first round. I'm hearing some buzz, or a second round pick in terms of quarterback. So like you could get him in the second or possibly even third round. Not likely, especially not in a super flex, but that would be the upside is that you're taking less of a risk on a guy that could develop into a more consistent guy, which I think is an intriguing prospect. But we both like Trey Harris a lot, so I don't. It's not enough to beat Trey Harris.
Yeah, yeah. Trey Harris has this locked down. He's an exciting player. So
Yeah, 100%. So Jalen Milroe ending in the round of 64. Your tournament is over, and Trey Harris moving on to the round of 32. So we have one last matchup for the southern portion of the bracket, and it
yeah, we
is
do.
our 15 seed Brooks, running back out of Texas Tech, going up against my dog two seed Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. I love Matthew Golden, and I think his draft stock is starting to show that love that I have for him. So there's really no chance for Brooks here to me.
No chance, you say. No, yeah, dude. I like Golden too, man. I'm just gonna tell you, I like him as well. So got to look out the one
Yeah,
six. You
I
know what I
may not
mean?
have him. I
No,
may not get my hands on him anywhere, but
you
we'll
probably. I'm
see.
sure you'll be all right. But yeah, he smokes Brooks here. No contest. But
Hmm.
we got dude Brooks. He's like. I don't know. He's getting I don't know, like the Ollie Gordon treatment after putting up a 1,500 yard season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's plenty to still like about the guy.
Yeah.
But he definitely had some his advantage was the volume. Like he was within 15 carries of 300 carries the past 2 years.
Woof.
So
Hmm.
he's shown like he can be that guy, but he wasn't consistently successful. He got stood up too easily at the line of scrimmage. And I don't know. Like sometimes he approached the line like he was about to do some pass blocking, but the football was in his hand. So you can't be doing that, man.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I don't know. It seems like the processing is pretty awesome though in real time. Like he has great reaction and agility, but I
Hmm.
think the vision is just kind of rough. But the good size and I feel like he could definitely be a rotational back.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those guys that like heats up slowly.
Hmm.
I don't, yeah, I'm not going to throw any parallels out there, but he's not ever going to have the opportunities like he did in college, so he's going to have to earn his spot on the field. But he was definitely consistent, and he's intriguing enough. It's just another like getting buried. There's like six big dogs in this
Hmm.
class, and he is not one of them.
Yeah, 100%. And I will throw kind of a comp out there, not necessarily player to player comp, but I think I could see him having a very similar trajectory to Tyler Algier in terms of career.
Sure.
Because like if he lands on the right offense, he does have he had a good combine. He was faster than I would have thought. His agility drills were pretty good. He's got some bounce. He's got the ability to shake some guys. And like you said, he was consistent, and that's going to show, I think, at the next level. Just that upside isn't quite there. So if he lands on an offense with not much competition like an Algier did, uh, or there's like injuries in front of him, I could see him even having like 1,000 yard season potentially if he gets the amount of work like you're talking about. But I think even if he did that, and this is where the Algier comp comes in, he could have 1,000 yard rookie season because of injuries, and I still think NFL teams wouldn't see him as the long-term answer and would like draft somebody behind him that would kind of take his spot.
Yeah, so any success would be just temporary. He looks like a perfect stopgap, or
Yeah,
like someone to
100%.
round out a backfield where there's an amount of uncertainty. I hate to say Kansas City, but he would be,
They got a lot of backs there now, bringing
yeah, I
Kareem
know,
Hunt
but
back
like,
and
I know, but he seems like the kind of guy that you could just count on.
yeah,
He's not going to win the game for you. He's not going to lose the game for you. He's
yeah,
going to get you,
100%.
first downs and
Which coaches value that, and
I
it
guess.
will absolutely get him a spot on an NFL roster, but just in terms of like upside and your fantasy roster, I don't think he's worth it. But again, maybe if he's on the waiver and you see somebody get hurt or hear some camp buzz that maybe he'll be over one of these lower end teams like a Raiders or somebody, um, if they don't end up taking Genty and he's the only rookie guy there, you never know. Maybe take a swing on him for a year, but not enough to beat Matthew Golden. So the 2 seed Matthew Golden moving on to the round of 32, and Tahj Brooks, his tournament is over here, which sets up a round of 32 for the southern portion of the bracket of Dylan Sampson going up against Brashard Smith, Jack Bech going up against Mason Taylor, Isaiah Bond up against Jackson Dart, and then Trey Harris up against Matthew Golden. So maybe not as spicy as the Midwest and West brackets were, but it's still there's some interesting matchups there, and I'm pretty excited to get into the round of 32.
Yeah, me too, man. This bracket's it's I don't know, man. You're right. They're all kind of different. All the brackets are very unique this year. They have their own
Hmm.
strengths. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be exciting to see who gets in this Sweet 16.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited. But until then, we're not into the round of 32 yet because we got one more round of 64 coming up, and that is the Atlantic bracket. That's gonna be our next episode. So join us Monday when we take down that bracket. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, take it easy, everybody.
I took a lease out on your heart.